The sages say that if you desire, you can swim in the air, walk on water, conquer the world. But understanding the workings of your own mind is perhaps the most challenging endeavor of all. Have you ever considered that your mind often seems to work against your intentions? For example, when you decide firmly to quit smoking, your mind may initially comply. However, over time, it has a way of pulling you back towards that same cigarette. This phenomenon isn't exclusive to cigarettes, it applies to various habits in our lives. We often wish to give up certain habits, yet we find it difficult to break free from them, even when we genuinely want to change. Nevertheless, there is hope. By making a concerted effort to become an observer of your mind, a witness to its machinations, you can unravel its tricks. Once you've grasped the inner workings of your mind, you'll be better equipped to break free from unwanted habits. In fact, you can also cultivate new, positive habits, such as motivating yourself to rise early or engaging in tasks that you usually find too taxing. Ultimately, our habits are driven by our minds, and by observing our minds from a different perspective, we can uncover their secrets. Oftentimes, we make assumptions and later find ourselves remorseful when these assumptions prove inaccurate. In the following story about Buddha, you'll learn about methods that can help you gain a deeper understanding of your mind and change your habits. The story reveals that you must step back and observe your mind separately from your thoughts if you want to understand its movements. When you learn to do this, you can realize the impermanence of thoughts and the constancy of your consciousness, which remains eternal and unattached to any particular thing. Now, let's delve into a story from Buddha's teachings. Once, an eloquent disciple arrived at a Buddhist monk's ashram to receive education. This disciple was less inclined to listen and more eager to express his own opinions. During a meditation discussion led by the Buddhist monk, the monk emphasized the importance of cultivating love within one's mind during meditation. He stressed the need to observe one's mind closely during meditation. However, before he could finish his explanation, the eloquent disciple interjected. He shared that he had been diligently observing his mind for a long time, scrutinizing each thought as it arose. Despite his efforts, he lamented that there had been no substantial change in his habits. He struggled to rise early each morning and couldn't maintain a consistent meditation routine. He had also discussed this with his fellow disciples but found no satisfactory answers. The ashram was marked by a conspicuous lack of communication among its members, hindering their collective understanding of the mind. The talkative disciple implored the monk to encourage discussions about their thoughts and experiences during meditation within the ashram. He believed that openly sharing their thoughts and experiences would enhance their collective understanding. The monk, however, posed a thought-provoking question: what benefits would you gain from knowing the thoughts of others, and is it essential to your introspection? The disciple was momentarily taken aback by the question, as he hadn't anticipated such a response from the monk. He realized the validity of the question. Why should he be concerned with others' thoughts? What benefit could he derive from this? He remained embroiled in these contemplations. To reinforce his position among the disciples, he argued that discussing and sharing thoughts among themselves would facilitate a deeper meditation experience and a better understanding of their minds. The Buddhist monk continued to challenge the disciples' assertions. He cautioned that understanding the meditation process of another disciple wouldn't necessarily help him attain deep meditation. Instead, it might lead to a misguided attempt to replicate the process, hindering genuine self-observation. To truly grasp the intricacies of one's mind, it was necessary to stand apart from it, to observe it from a distance, and to view one's thoughts separately from oneself. The monk referenced the common experience of individuals becoming engrossed in their thoughts when they tried to understand them. The disciple nodded in agreement, acknowledging that he, too, had struggled with this during his self-observation practice. The monk compared this difficulty to someone failing to observe their anger because they had become one with their anger, unable to separate themselves from it. The essence of their practice was to become detached observers, to witness their thoughts in their purest form. This perspective allowed them to recognize the impermanence of thoughts and feelings. Emotions, whether happiness, sadness, anger, or hatred, were transient and never-changing. Through this realization, they would eventually experience a sense of inner love and joy, often referred to as ecstasy. The monk recommended silent practice, encouraging the disciples to silently observe their thoughts, feelings, and emotions. By doing so, they would become attuned to the fleeting nature of these experiences and gradually disentangle themselves from their influence. As they learned to maintain inner calm and detachment, they would find that their consciousness remained constant, while emotions ebbed and flowed. In response, the disciple sought a more detailed explanation. The monk emphasized the importance of maintaining silence, observing thoughts, and comprehending their emotional responses, be it anger, happiness, or hatred. By refraining from becoming overly excited by these emotions, individuals could observe them as separate entities. This allowed them to recognize the transient nature of emotions and the persistence of consciousness. Consequently, inner love and joy would become their prevailing states. The disciples, including the talkative one, were inspired by the monk's teachings and believed they had gained valuable insights. However, the monk cautioned them against the excitement they felt in that moment. He reminded them that even their happiness was a fleeting emotion. To attain lasting happiness, they needed to maintain calm, silence, and emotional detachment, while consistently observing their thoughts and feelings. With this guidance, the monk instructed the disciples to remain silent and focus on observing their thoughts and feelings. He urged them not to engage with these mental processes but rather to stand back and view them from a distance. Although this practice was challenging, the monk assured them that with time and dedication, they would become proficient. As the monk signaled for the disciples to commence their meditation, he reminded them that real happiness could only be achieved by maintaining inner peace and silence. When individuals learned to distance themselves from their thoughts, they could perceive the eternal nature of their consciousness. All things, except for consciousness itself, were impermanent and transitory. As humans, their consciousness persisted even beyond their physical lives. In conclusion, the monk emphasized that the dissolution of the mind was the key to entering a deep state of meditation. While the mind remained dominant, meditation would remain elusive, as it was subject to the fluctuations of one's whims and desires. True meditation could only be achieved when one's mind was quieted and still. This allowed them to focus their full attention on the present moment, embracing the essence of meditation. We ask you, have you ever experienced any of the situations mentioned in this video? How did you react? Share your experience in the comments, like and subscribe to the Balanced Journey channel, where our community is confident that these stories have the potential to improve the quality of your life and that of those close to you. See you in the next video.